Hey, what's up everybody? I'm Bobby with Tech360.tv, deep in the halls of the Tech360 offices because we have with us a device only very few in Singapore have. It is the Red Hydrogen 1. I do want to thank Red Singapore and a friend of mine, Moose, who helped us with this. We're not paid by Red, by the way, for this review. They just provided the phone for us to use for about a week. So I can't give you a full in-depth review of the phone, but a very good hands-on impressions of what it's like to use day-to-day for about a week or so. Now, I do want to kind of make this statement about this phone. This is not your typical consumer smartphone, and I think that needs to be said. Red is not a typical consumer camera, thus the phone is very much like that. So when I talk about the phone in this hands-on impressions, keep that in mind, because I think that is very important. Let's talk about the design of this phone. This is the thing about this phone that is striking, and personally, this has been a phone I've been excited to see for a very long time, ever since it was sort of unveiled a few months back. This is strikingly beautiful. I like the design. Some people are gonna say, well, it's a big aluminum block, it looks hefty, it doesn't look sleek, and all this glass backs. This is beautiful in my eyes. This is stunning. I have to say, it is carbon fiber, aluminum, the gripping on the sides, I mean, if you've ever held a Red camera before, you know that they really take pride in the design and the looks and the durability and the robustness of their phones, and this feels exactly the same way. It is big though. I'm gonna be honest with you, this is a big phone. So if you're wearing tight jeans like I'm wearing today, people are gonna say, what's that bulge in your pocket? They're gonna say it, I'm sorry to say that. But compared to the other smartphones out there, it's actually pretty consistent. We're going to compare it to the Pixel 3 XL, the iPhone XS Max, and of course the Note 9 to show you in comparison. But overall, it's one of the bigger phones out there. But let's talk about the display for a moment, because this is the thing that everybody was talking about with the Red Hydrogen. It's got this holographic display. It's a Quad HD display, vibrant colors, maybe a bit too saturated. And so far, from what I've used, there's no adjustment in terms of desaturating it or making it more of a flatter profile. So I wish Red improved that, especially for cinematography or shooting photos, but it is what it is. But to get to the holographic display, this is like that, remember those stickers when we had when we were a kid where you just would see things in this three-dimensional setting and then you almost want to feel like to touch the screen and it's like those little lines you want to scratch it. Well, you don't scratch the display here, but it's got that holographic vibe to it. Unfortunately, it doesn't translate on video. So we'll try our best here, but I think other reviews have done the same and it just doesn't really show up. But trust me, when you see it, it's a great party favor trick to show everybody, because everybody goes, whoa, that is wickedly cool. But then after that, you really can't share it except to one app, which is called HoloPix, that Red design, which is sort of like Instagram for 4V content. That's what they're calling the holographic content, 4V, to showcase it. So it is very limited in scope, but it's quite cool to see. What else? Let's talk about battery life. 4,200 milliamp battery in this thing. It's big, and you need it because it is a very large size phone pushing a Quad HD display. Second, let's talk about the internal specs. It has a Snapdragon 835 processor, 8 gigabytes of RAM, 128 gigabytes of onboard storage, which is expandable through micro SD card slot, so you're good to go. Actually, in the package that I have with it, has a Red Hydrogen SD card, which is kind of cool. I mean, it's red as well. It's pretty wicked. But that's pretty much on the specs of that. There's no wireless charging on it. How can it be? It's all aluminum and carbon fiber. I mean, you just got to charge it, but it's pretty fast charging through the USB-C port on this. You got a headphone jack on this as well, which you need, especially when you're doing cinematography. You want to hear the audio quality, which is 3D audio built into this. No, so not just in the headphones, but even when you hear it in the speakers, there's 3D audio. So it sounds really, really good, and the speakers are quite loud on this. Let's get into the cameras, because it's Red, right? Red's got some great cameras, or do they? Well, they've got two 12 megapixel cameras on the back of it. They've got two 8 megapixel cameras on the front of it. Now, when you create 4V content with the front-facing cameras or the rear-facing, it'll use both cameras and activate both of those, and the same with the front. There are some interesting settings. You can have a floating histogram if you want that. You can adjust color temperature on your videos or your stills. You can choose the resolution on your stills and your video, but there is no option for DNG files or you know, flatter profiles for video or anything like that. You are pretty much in JPEG and just out of the camera 4K video quality at 30 frames per second max. I found portrait mode to be actually quite accurate, especially with the 2-camera system. I found it to be very accurate in terms of its detection of what's in the foreground and background. But in terms of sharpness and clarity, I found it lacking a little bit, especially in low light. Now, I mean, Red has been okay in low light in terms of even the bigger cameras. This one struggles a little bit. There's a lot of processing going on in the images, and it was a little bit, I don't want to say disappointing, but I was expecting more, and maybe because my hopes were so high that I wasn't being realistic. But I will say that in terms of comparing to the other smartphones in the market, I'm not going to say it's the best out there. I will say the Google Pixel 3 XL is probably out, you're going to see better images out of that. The iPhone XS Max and maybe even the Huawei Mate 20 Pro. But it's close to all that. Even the Samsung Note 9. You're going to see it's close within that range, but not quite there yet. But this is not going to be the only camera system on this phone. This is a modular based system, and they actually have said they're coming with a cinema module coming out that will have a sensor on it, a separate sensor. It be able to supposedly attach different lenses from Canon and Nikon, who knows, or maybe Red's own lenses. We don't know, nobody's seen it or heard of it, but it's going to improve image quality. So based on what comes out of the box today, image quality is pretty good. But the future, it could be phenomenal. And I think that kind of brings us to what the Red Hydrogen is all about. The Red Hydrogen is not a phone that you buy once and that's it. You're going to grow with this phone like you do with a Red camera. When you buy a Red camera, there's a lot of pieces you can add to a Red camera to make it better than what it comes out of the box initially. You know what I mean? It's a very modular based system. And from what my understanding is of the Red Hydrogen 1, this is a modular based smartphone. So like I said, you'll be able to add modulars for the cameras, maybe even change out the processor on this. We don't know that. There's a rumor to that. You'll be able to add different features to this phone to actually make it a phone that will last you more than a year or 2 years like other smartphones out there. Think of it like a mirrorless camera body or a DSLR body. When you buy the body, it has a sensor in it, but what lenses go onto the camera makes a big difference. So if you buy a really crappy kit lens to a camera system, your images might not be great, but once you put a really good lens on it, everything changes. And that is what the Red Hydrogen is. And so I think when you go into the system, if you're willing to spend $1,300 US on it, because it's only available in the US right now, I think in selected of the markets, you have to go into it knowing that you're buying a system that is going to be upgradable in the future, like Red systems, and there's going to be a big community of support to help you along that way. And that is what Red is about. It's about a family, it's about community. And I'm not trying to hype up the phone to be more than what it is, no, but that is what Red is about. And I think that what I've not seen in other reviews, which we're trying to tap on here at Tech 360, is that when you understand what Red is about, you understand the future of the Hydrogen 1 and where it can go. And I think that it could be a formidable player, definitely in a few months' time. I do wish that Red did show some of the modules that will be coming out to sort of say, hey, look, this is what's coming out, so buy into the system now, this is what to expect. Unfortunately, they didn't, and I think it's going to be a very challenging part for them, because in the bigger camera system world, in the bigger camera ecosystem, you're updating cameras every 2-3 years, but in the smartphone market, you're updating every 6 months to a year. So how will they fare in this competitive arena? We're going to find out, but right now, the Red Hydrogen is a beautifully designed phone, great specs, year-old processor, not a deal breaker. Camera system could be better, but I'm excited for the future of the Red Hydrogen 1. Anyway, leave your comment suggestions below. Don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on Facebook. Until the next one, take care.